We reppin' Jesus, Jesus. We reppin' Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. We reppin' Jesus, hey, Jesus. We reppin' Jesus. I put it on my God. He is good. He is great. Saved by grace. I used to be a bad baddie in the shadows. Added Jesus, now I'm baddie with a Bible. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Bible Baddie podcast. Welcome, cause you a Bible baddie in a Christian kind of world. I'm glad I got my Bible. Okay. Anywho, welcome, Bible baddies. Today, I'm actually really excited about today's episode. If you don't mind, you're going to hear some papers fluttering and you're going to see me with my notebooks. I got my notes today. I have a list here of the things I learned about men that help me to not hate them. And I think this is going to be beneficial to all women and maybe some men, maybe, I don't know, to anybody who wants to know about anything. These are just things that God helped me to understand about men, understand about myself, understand about the world, that actually helped me to stay delivered and not go back to the past life. I think if I didn't learn these things, that I would have not been able to maybe keep it up, because I would have been still hating men. Hating men is definitely not a solution to the problem. And you know what? I'm really not into this generation right now where we are men versus women and we are acting like we don't need each other. And whose fault is it that why we're not getting along? It's nobody's fault. Well, it's nobody's fault. We are all to blame. We have been making horrible relationship choices and decisions. And I'm not one to talk because I've also made horrible relationship decisions and stuff like that, which is why I'm here, okay? I'm just trying to tell you what God told me and that it's been helping me. And so I hope that it blesses you. So let's get straight into it. Actually, before we get into it, I just want to briefly explain, I guess one of the reasons, I don't think I explained this in my testimony, but I guess one of the reasons why I might have hated men, I think for me, it's like an onion layer. You had rape and molestation, and although those might be high on people's lists, is maybe not as high for me. I know they are big deals and they did happen to me and they did play big parts, but I feel like the other parts played just as much. I feel like it played maybe half of why I ended up hating men. I believe there's other things such as the relationships that I was in, the people that I trusted. But I will say that all those men that I might have been in a relationship who disappointed me or who made me feel some kind of way, I think a lot of that played into my own decision. I think I said on the last episode that maybe about 70% of the reason why I didn't have the best relationship with men and then why my thoughts formed the way it did with men is because maybe some of the things that I needed to unlearn and maybe some of the way that I acted, the things that I did. And God called me out. He was like, sis, it's not all their fault. You played a part in this too. Let me tell you why. And I was like, okay, God, heard, okay? So I'm going to tell you what God taught me through this journey. So the first 2 years of me giving my life back to God, after that, those first 2 years, I'm on like year 3.5 now of being celibate and of giving my life back to God. Although I've been in church my whole life and I did live a Christian life at some point in life, I definitely fell away for about 8 years. And so I do say I gave my life back to God because that's exactly what happened. So in these 3 years, these are the things that I've learned. I have dated maybe a little bit, but maybe more so this last year than any year. But I will say that after learning these things, my dating experience has been better. Disclaimer, I am still single. So I don't know. I know people feel some kind of way about taking advice from single people. This is not advice from me. This is not advice from me. This is me telling you what God showed me. And I'm hoping it helps you too. Take it and leave it. My dad always says, chew the meat, spit the bone. Chew what you like, throw away what you don't. And that's it. You don't got to take no advice from no single woman. I'm just showing you what God showed me. That's why we're here at the Baddie podcast. Let's get into it. Okay. One of the first things I want to talk about is all men want sex, but not all men just want sex. Now, this is something that I did not learn until in these last 3 years, in my 30s, my mid 30s. And I know it sounds crazy, but when I was younger, and I was going to church, we had this church girl group called Divas, for Divinely Inspired Victorious Achievers. And they taught us how to be women, how to eat, how to dress, how to be good Christian girls, how to, we read our word, we talked about God, and we did, all those things. And then they had the men come out one time as like a treat, I guess, to talk to us about men, to give us advice about men, and to give us real, honest talk about dating men and being with men as a Christian girl, as a Christian man, as just from that perspective. They was like, we're gonna give you an opportunity to ask all your questions of anything you want to know about men. And so maybe I'm gonna say between 13 and 16 is when this happened. And one of the things that they said that really stuck with me, it was all men want sex. All men want sex. All men is just trying to get sex from you, is what I heard, right? And so there was a bunch of different scenarios that we've given them. I was like, yep, he just wants sex. Yep, he just wants sex. Yep, he just wants sex. And I kept hearing that over and over. He just wants sex. And so when I went out into the dating world, anytime a man attempted to have sex with me, because that is kind of what they told us, is that a lot of the times men just want sex. That is what I understood. I believed them. I took heed, if you will. So when a man tried to pursue anything with me, I was like, yep, he just wants sex. Now, what I missed was, if you tell a man no, and then he proceeds to still want to communicate with you, to date you, talk to you, or see you, and within your boundaries of no, then that man does not just want sex. Yes, he does want sex, and if you give it up, he will take it. He's not going to tell you no. Most men will never tell you. Most. I'm gonna say a lot of broad things, and when I say it, I don't mean it that way, or maybe I do. And if you disagree, you can put it in the comments. Let me know. Maybe I'll correct myself. Maybe I won't. But I feel safe to say that there's a rare amount of men who are going to turn down sex, right? I'm not saying men are gonna say yes every single time, but I mean, look at some of y'all. You know what? No shade. I'm not about to throw no shade on this Christian podcast. Look, you and I both know that a lot of the time, men don't turn down a sex from somebody he likes, or is interested in, or is attracted to. And maybe they don't even have to be attracted. Sometimes they're just weird and just don't turn down sex at all. But that's neither here nor there. But I digress. The point of that is that when a man is always going to try you, At least in my experience. A man is always going to try you, but when you tell him no and he still is interested in seeing more about you, then he wants more than sex. Yes, you want sex, but so do women. So do women. We want sex too. And for us to play ourselves. So to me, I never met a man who turned me down for sex. And so every time I would date somebody and I will be interested and I'm like, oh my God, this guy, he's a good guy. I know he is going to be a good guy. We're going to go to my house. We're going to sit on my couch. We're going to Netflix and chill. And he's not going to try me because he's a good man. And I know this man. Wrong. Every man's going to try you. Every man is going to try you. But not every man is going to be like, it's the reaction after you say no, what you need to be worried about. If you say no and then he proceeds to force himself on you, that ain't the one. If you say no and he's like, you know what, I'm not really about this. I'm not trying to get to know you. I'm really not interested. Then yeah, maybe he ain't it too. If you say no and he's like, I ain't trying to deal with this at all. So I'm trying to have sex first and then get to know you. He may not be it for you either, sis. He might just actually want just sex. If he tries to rape you, if he hurts you in any kind of way when you say no, then yeah, those are the ones that are not it. I did not know, and it took me forever to figure out if you say no and he is still interested, that sometimes, because sometimes they can do the long game too. They can be like, yeah, okay, that's cool with me. And then they play the long game and send you and then start putting all this pressure on you to do it with them, which is weird, I guess. But every now and then there is a guy who, when you tell him no and he's like, that's fine because I want to get to know you, that guy is a good guy. Well, sometimes they're good guys if they want sex too. That's not what I mean. I mean, that guy, it might be a guy who wants more than sex from you, is what I mean. Okay? I didn't know that. I thought that if you wanted sex from me, you only wanted sex from me. And if you only wanted sex from me, you had no interest in me. And if you had no interest in me, then you have no purpose in my life. And I dismissed and dropped every single one of them. I dropped every single man because I thought they all wanted to have sex with me. And they did, but I thought that's all they wanted. And in retrospect, I can see that there were some guys who were like, okay, that's fine. Like, let's just talk. Let's just chill. And I'm like, nope, too late. You already tried me. So I had to unlearn that. In today's world, I'm going to say that it is still very difficult. I've been celibate for 3.5 years. And I do believe that I came across some good men who were unwilling to explore what we could possibly be because they knew that I was not having sex until marriage, and that was my current decision for my current life. And they were like, that's a no for me. I don't think I can do that. They will say things like, I'm actually very interested in you, but I really don't think I can do that. And it is a little bit disappointing to see that so many men have so lack of self-control, or the lack of even thinking that is capable. I feel like so many men feel like they're incapable of even achieving that kind of goal. Like they really don't have the belief in themselves to accomplish that. And they might just literally just like, I can't do this. And that sucks. That do suck. But moving on, that's something I learned. That's something that we're dealing with. I don't know if you got answers on being celibate before marriage. To me, I don't want to. I can't. I made a promise to God. I made a promise to myself. And after my sexual past, I just feel like it's important for me to stay on this road. And I don't necessarily I don't necessarily see anybody who's worth breaking those vows to myself. The level of confidence that I built for myself, the level of trust that I built for myself, and it just feels like a goal that I have set, and to break those kind of promises to myself and God feels completely pointless for a small moment of pleasure. And yeah, so I'm staying on it. If you with it, you with it. If you ain't, you ain't. You can go. Move right out of my life. Keep on moving out of my life. You better move. Okay. So that's something that I learned. All men want sex, but not all men just want sex. Another thing that I learned is that it takes patience to date men, and it does not take patience to date men. And if you have ever been in the lesbian community as a woman, I will never speak on the gay community of men because I don't know about that. That's not my life. That's not my story. That's not my experience. So I cannot speak on it. Don't know about it, okay? So I only talk about lesbians because that's my life and that's my experience, because that's the only thing that I knew. So if y'all got opinions on that, I can't talk about what I don't know. And for me, if you ever experience any type of lesbian relationships, and for myself, you don't need patience to date women. In the lesbian community, there's a thing called U-Haul lesbians. That is when you meet a woman, and within a couple days, not only are you in a relationship, you got a cat, and you moved in together within 3 days. It's U-Haul lesbians, because as soon as women get together, they're immediately, I want you, you are my world, I know everything about you. We've talked for a full 3 days, and there's nothing else that I need to know, and I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. We literally make up our mind as when we were as lesbians that we want to be with this person for the rest of our lives, and in our hearts of hearts and our minds, we really feel that to be true. We're like, this is it for me. And it's wild how we continue to do that over and over again and constantly believe it. And the women going back and forth, they're doing it to each other. Like, you date a woman and the woman wants that same energy. She wants that same, I want to know everything about you right now. And I'm going to tell you everything about me right now. And can you tell me everything about you right now? And the other girl's like, yeah, I'll tell you everything you want to know about me right now. And I want to know everything about you right now too. And within 3 days, you're like, I'm so in love and you're my person. And let's get a cat and let's move in together and let's never separate. Between the ecstasy of that intimacy of the communication, because women, you know, we love to talk. Between being able to talk to somebody and then feel like you can trust them, and women, we already naturally trust each other, and then, you know, you add sex on top of that, and if it's good, then you're like, oh my God, for the rest of my life, I want to be with you. So you don't need patience to date women because they want to move just as fast as you do. You do, however, need patience to date men. It takes men at least 3 months. Statistically, pardon my list, but you can look it up. It takes men on average 3 months to even open up, to even feel a connection to you, to even start to actually, for him to decide if he likes you. Now, they do have those things where they say, oh, a man knows as soon as he meets you whether or not he just wants to have sex with you, or if he just wants to get, you know, if he wants more than you. And I think sometimes a man might subconsciously know, but he hasn't necessarily made up his mind. And I think it takes, and even if he did make up his mind, it still takes him 3 months to even open up to you about that, because he's not trying to get somebody who's crazy and wants to be in a relationship immediately. Which leads me to women. We do this thing where we meet a man and we really like him. Now, this is for straight women. We really like him and we're like, oh my God, he's my boyfriend. Or we're like, we meet him and we're like, It's been a week. You spent maybe a week together going out on dates and seeing each other every day and just talking on the phone all the time, and it's so great. And you had sex at this point now. And so now you're like, it's been a week and a half. It's been a week. And I just want to know, what are we? Or what are your intentions with me? Meanwhile, this man is like, nigga, I don't know you. Pardon my language. They be like, I don't know you. I remember a woman did that to me. It was a week, and she was ready to vote. Within 3 days, I also decided to be her girlfriend within the 3 days of us meeting. And I had met her family and her son, and she was staying over my house a lot, and basically like low key moved in within 3 days. So by the end of that week, she was ready to propose. I told that girl, if you propose to me, I'm gonna break up with you. You're moving too fast. You're doing the most. And it's funny because she cried and was like, well, why? Like, I just want to be with you forever. I was like, well, just because you proposed to me don't mean we're going to be together forever. Sis, you need to slow down. Take your time. And I realized, oh my gosh, I used to do that to men. Like, I'd be like, why don't you love me? I love you. I feel like you could be the one. I feel like you're my husband. It's been a week and a half, and I feel like you're my boyfriend, and I feel like we should be together. And I just need to know, what are your intentions with me? Do you just want sex with me, or do you want to be married to me? Like, you should know. And men have been constantly riddled with that question within a couple weeks, and they're like, I don't know. I just met you. Nigga, I don't know you. You don't know me. He hasn't even opened up to you yet. You probably did most of the talking, and he's sitting around listening, and you're like, he's such a great listener. He just wants to know everything about me. Girl, you barely asked him about him. You don't know him, and you're saying, are we together or not? And then, a lot of times they'll be like, no, you crazy. Because we are. It's crazy. Yes, it's crazy to assume that a man should know who you are or whether or not he wants to be with you after a week or two of you guys spending together. There are some men who have made up their minds within a week or two. And I say be cautious of those because love bombing is 100% a thing. I had one guy who told me he loved me within a month. Shout out to you, because I told you I was going to talk about you on this podcast because you were not cool. Within a month, told me he loved me. And I spent the night with him before. We didn't have sex, and he was kind of pissed about it. And I probably shouldn't have spent the night. We're not perfect, but I did not have sex with him. He was pissed about it, told me he loved me that night, and then the next day was like, I don't think I can do this. I thought that I loved you. He took it back, basically. The very next day, okay, he spent the entire month love bombing me within like a couple, like I think he was saying, I want to meet your family. I want you to meet mine. I want us to have a life together. I want you to have my kids within a couple weeks. I think you're going to be my wife within the third week. And I'm just like, sir. And he's like, I just don't feel like you're opening up to me. It was giving sketch. So I do believe there are some people who get married within a month, within 2 months, within 4 months, within a couple of weeks. I've seen a lot of those marriages, and they're like, oh, we're going on 14 years, 15 years, 16 years married. And I believe that is a thing. I don't know if I believe that is common. And this is my personal belief, not stats. I don't feel like that is a common thing. And I feel like men are saying what needs to be said so they can get what they want, especially if they think that you're a good girl. Because a man loves a good girl, and a woman who has not had sex with a man in 9 years, i.e. me, they're like, oh my God, you haven't had sex with a man in 9 years? So I'm like, you're like basically a virgin again, and I'll be like your first and forever. So back up. I am not prized. Well, I might be the prize, but I am not. I digress. I am not to be used in that kind of way. You know what I mean? Anywho. But yeah, so it definitely takes patience to date a man. And in this realm of me dating, I found that taking my time and moving a lot slower, even if a man says he thinks you're his wife and he feels like you're the one, that no matter what they're saying and no matter how they're making me feel, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're it for me, I still slow it down. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but let's take our time and get to know each other. Okay. And knowing this has also put me at ease and make me a little less crazy. And it also has caused these men to chase me like crazy, which is something I did not expect. So you got these men chasing me because they're like, oh my gosh, she's like so hard to catch. And you know, men like to chase, they do. So now you're giving the man the chase that they always wanted, because you're not being the crazy girl who's like, I really, you know, you're not giving off desperate anymore. But it also is giving you time to just enjoy the moment, slow down, and you know, it's just like a win-win. It's like, it's setting you up to date better, I believe. So yeah, it takes patience to date a man and not a woman. Let's see what we got next. This one. Okay, so I don't mean to offend any men, and this is not meant to. There are some really brilliant men out there, but every man has a stupid gene. And I know this to be true because I talk to a lot of women. I maybe not talk to all the women. So this is from my opinions and my experience. I'm not trying to make a broad statement, but men have a stupid gene. I found that out by first moving at home with my parents. Not something I necessarily want to do, but I have nothing but growth from this experience. And one of the things I saw is my dad loves my mom. I've never seen a man love a woman so much. Like, this man has given his whole life and his whole world to this woman. He loves her, and I admire him for the love that he has for her. And even though this man loves this woman so much, I've seen my dad still mess up. Okay, so my mom, we have been learning her love language in the past couple years since I moved in. And me and him both discovered what we thought was her love language was not her love language. And so now that we know her new love language, I have come up with a list of things that we can give or do for her that she will actually enjoy. Because for years, she has not enjoyed the gifts that we were giving her, and he will just get more expensive and more expensive gifts, but that was not her love language, so she wasn't enjoying it, right? And so now that I'm like, all right, Mom, let's figure this out. This is not the year of surprises anymore. This is going to be the year of, we're going to actually get you something you want, whether it's a gift, an experience, or anything of however it is your love language. We want to do nice things for you for Christmas, Mother's Day, and your birthday and stuff like that. But it seems like we're always failing because we just get you all this expensive stuff and you don't even want it. And you're like, dang, that's not what I wanted. So let's get you what you want. So I had came up with a list of different things. I was like, let's go through this list and then ask her specifically, what do you want from Daddy? I went to Daddy and was like, this is exactly what she wants. This is exactly what she wants. I'm telling you verbatim. I am telling you, I grabbed the list. I'm telling you from the horse's mouth. And that poor man, he's been traumatized. So I get it. But he still got it wrong and got her a very expensive large bag that she was like, ew, this is not it. And I'm like, Daddy, I literally gave you a play-by-play. How do you mess this up? And not even just that. I've seen him do it a couple times when they're just talking and having a conversation or she's giving him something to do or whatever. Men have a stupid gene. Like, I was like, oh, if my dad can't even get it right with a play-by-play, then my expectation for other men might be a bit unrealistic. My standards are not too high. I feel like my standards are set where I feel they are comfortable at. And to some people, that might be high. I'm okay with that. But my expectations were unrealistic. I began to ask a bunch of different women. They was like, I've sent my husband to the store with a list not only had the list, but it had pictures of what the items were. It had the aisle number that it was on. It had like pictures located like where on the aisle it was. And they still came back with the wrong items. I'm like, dang, like what is this? Like there's been so many women who's like, man, I have told my husband verbatim what to do for me for my birthday. Exactly. And he still messed it up. Like how do they mess, like I had told him exactly how to place these items in the fridge or in the pantry, exactly such and such way. And I have explained to him how to do a certain thing that's important to me, and he can't seem to grasp it. I don't know what it is, but men have a stupid gene. And I really feel that when I started to give men a little bit of grace for that stupid gene, because I do believe that if he wanted to, he would. A man that wants to will. Yes, while that statement is true, at the end of the day, they still have a stupid gene. And sometimes things just don't click. I don't know what else to call it, because they're not stupid. They're not stupid. They just have a thing that doesn't click or connect somewhere in their brains. And when you learn, or maybe they're turning their brains off or what, but when you learn that all men have that, it makes it a little less easier to not be so pissed at them. Okay. So that was one thing that I learned. I believe I mentioned this, another thing, in a previous episode, that dressing half naked is not helpful like you think it is. Men will go and like all the half naked girls on social media. They will like all the half naked videos and pictures and stuff on social media. I used to get 500 views and likes and stalkers and people wanted to take me out on dates, but at the end of the day, nobody wanted to be in a relationship with me. And it used to piss me off that every time I went on a date with a man, that all they would be like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, your boobs are so big, or just make comments about my looks after pouring my heart out. And I couldn't understand. And I'm like, why don't men have the capacity to stay in a normal conversation with me? Meanwhile, I had my titties on the table being a complete distraction. It is absolutely absurd to think that a heterosexual male is not going to be distracted even when you're around straight females and they are distracted and can't stop making comments. God had to check me on that. He was like, are you crazy or not? Like, what are you expecting? So, I definitely had to change my wardrobe up a bit. That made a difference on the way that not only the way men looked at me, but the way women looked at me. I feel like I gained so much more respect from just the women around me. I didn't realize I was getting any disrespect from them, but I just feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a feeling. I could feel the level of look down that these women had upon me, although they used to say, oh my God, you're so amazing, you're so fabulous, you dress so nice, and they used to compliment me in my face. But you could feel the level of, I'm judging you, or nothing you say has credentials, has credit for me because of the way you dress. So I definitely felt like women respected me more when I changed the way I dress, and men 100% definitely respect. And then the thing is that they still find you sexy. They will still find you sexy and find a way to notice whatever you're hiding, because they can see. Apparently, they got X-ray vision, men, and they will see what they need to see with you being covered up. So it's not necessary. You attract the wrong attention. And I know people say, oh, I don't dress for men, I dress for myself. As a person who used to say this, let me say this. If you never got attention, if you If you only dress for yourself, then why did you take that picture and post it on social media? If you were only dressing for yourself, then why, when you went out in your half naked outfit, and if nobody spoke to you or nobody came up and asked you for your number, or no man was like, dang, or gave you a compliment or anything, why did it make you feel some type of way, or make you feel uncomfortable, or make you feel like your outfit wasn't cute, or that you didn't have a successful night? I know that you felt these ways because I did too. Yeah, there might be some women who dress for themselves, but I say if we really stop kidding ourselves, we dress for ourselves to get the attention. We may not say we may not want to talk to anybody. We may not want to date anybody. We may not be looking for somebody to come and harm us. We're not looking for somebody to come harm us. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking to get raped. We're looking for compliments, because women like attention. It is okay, I think, to admit that. I think women like attention. I like attention. You like it when you're in a relationship and your man hypes you up. You like it when your girls be like, yes, you killed that. Like, a little bit of attention for somebody to hype you up a little bit feels good. Maybe, why is it, if you weren't doing it for attention, why did you like, oh, I'm just gonna go get dressed up so I can feel good and just like look good and just be out and about so I can look good? Like, you're doing it for attention. And if you're posting on social media, you're 100% doing it for attention. And it might be because what is social media for? What is Instagram for? It's for likes. You go get likes. You're posting it just so it can be on your profile for you, so you can go and see. Then leave it in your phone if that's the case. Leave it in your phone. You're doing it for the likes, until we finally admit to ourselves that we are dressing half naked to get them. And you know what's crazy is when you post a half naked picture and you don't get no likes. Whoo! That'll tear your self-esteem down. I believe that a lot of people in our generation, our self-esteem are built on social media likes. It's built on social media, and it's not solid ground. It's not something to be built on. And we post these pictures, we get these likes, we get hyped up, and we feel good about ourselves. But I do believe there are some times, like I've done makeup for women who did boudoir shoots, and they literally did it just for themselves. They keep it in a book that stays in their home that nobody sees. Or they do it for their husband. And it's just for her and for their husband, because it does feel good to look good. It has never been a thing where, like, if you look good, you feel good. That's just what it is. If you look good, you feel good. That is always, I think, how it's been. And that's why they teach you to get up and get dressed when you're younger and make your bed. And because when your room is clean, you're more productive. When your hair is done and your clothes are good, you feel you can actually start your day. Put on some clothes. Don't stay in your pajamas all day. When you feel good, you look good. Or when you look good, you feel good. That is what we do. So if you're posting on social media, yeah, you're doing it for the likes. You're doing it for attention, and you're not doing it just for you to look good. So, but there are other ways to, I think you have good attention and bad attention, and quite frankly, posting half naked picture is not always the best kind of attention that you think you're gonna get. I really believe that I got so much, it felt like positive attention. Oh my God, I have a stalker. I have several stalkers. It's not good attention. My life was in danger. I was always like looking behind me. Like, that was not safe, because there's crazy people out there who are obsessed with beautiful, I don't know, but like, it was not productive for a relationship. Men didn't want to be with that. They were like, not the good ones, not the ones I wanted. They were like, yeah, you look good and you're beautiful and stuff, but I can't have my girl walking out on these streets looking like that. And it makes sense now, because they know they don't want you out there looking like that, because they know if on the other end, if it was another woman, they want people to look at you with respect and not with the hungry eyes, because they have hungry eyes for you, and they don't want nobody else with hungry eyes for you, and you out there looking like that. So it made a difference for me, for God to like teach me that, yeah, you need to kind of cover up a little bit, and you don't need to be half naked to be sexy or to be beautiful. You're doing that for attention, but that is not the right kind of attention. So that is one of the things I learned. Let's see. We're gonna flip the page here. This is getting a little bit long-winded, so I'm probably gonna do 2 more and we'll save the rest for another episode. Okay, learning emotional intelligence. That was a big one. Just because I feel a certain way about something does not mean somebody else feels a certain way about something. For example, there might be a joke, and a person might do a playful joke on you or something, and you're like, how could you do that to me? I would never do that to anybody. Now, you would never do that to anybody because maybe in your past, your siblings used to do this all the time, and it used to be intentionally cruel. So for you growing up, you would never, as an adult, play this particular kind of joke on somebody because you consider that to be cruel. But the other adult who is playing the joke on you would never think that is cruel because it's playful to them. They think of it in a different level. So you think it's cruel, they think it's fun. And you go to them, how could you? You clearly don't care about me because I would never do that on somebody. Like, how could you not have common sense to know? So your feelings are not common sense. Your feelings are your feelings. I had to learn that because, honestly, as an emotional person, it took a woman to throw her feelings on me, and I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not doing this to hurt you. I didn't know that would hurt you. I didn't think. She was like, I just can't believe you would do that to me. And I'm like, I wasn't trying to do nothing to you. To me, I think that's fine, but if you don't think that's fine, just simply say that. And it took somebody to throw their feelings on me and tell me how wrong I was and how bad of a person I was and how horrible I treated them, for me to realize that, as me being an emotional person, that I can't do the same. Like, it's so funny how dating women taught me exactly why women are crazy and showed me, it was a reflection of me, showed me. And I was like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings, it is okay to feel your feelings. It is okay to be upset in moments, but you might want to take a second and breathe and listen to other people's explanations, or at least just say, hey, I know. Okay, I got an example. As I've been dating men in this season, one of my feelings is that I like to be spoken to like a woman. I don't like to be cursed at or just have cursing in conversation. For some reason, when a man is cursing like a sailor in a conversation, it makes me feel like you are being not necessarily aggressive, but you're talking to me in a very masculine way. I feel like I spoke so heavily with cursing and I lived so much in my masculine. So now that I'm working on being in my feminine energy, I want to be spoken to like a woman. And I'm thinking, if you are a man, would you talk to your mother with all these curse words? And if you do, then I don't want you, because that's not the type of relationship I want. Would you talk to your daughter? You got a 7-year-old daughter. Would you use all these type of language with your daughter, who is very impressionable, going back to school and repeating after you? Would you talk to your sister that way? Or maybe you might talk to your sister that way, but I don't want to be spoken to like one of your homeboys. I don't want to be spoken to like I'm one of like a dude. I want to be spoken to like a woman. And so that's one of my boundaries that I've been created, not just with cursing, just like maybe aggressive tones, like I want to be spoken to like you're a gentleman and I'm a lady. And for a man to just be somewhat aggressive in their tone of speaking, like there are ways to say things. For example, I was dating this guy and I can get overwinded and send long text messages sometimes. And he'd be like, I really want to hear what you have to say. This is what he said the first time. I want to hear what you have to say, but what you have to say is too long in text message. Could you do me a favor and send a voice note? That way we can keep this conversation going. I'm like, you know what? That's a reasonable request. My text messages can get long. I will do that. So one day I forgot and I sent a long text message. And what he said, man, what I tell you about that is what, like, man, like, I ain't trying to hear all of that while I'm getting faded. One, I didn't know you smoked. I don't want to hear all of that while I'm getting faded. You don't be sending me enough. Like, why are you talking to me like that? Simply like, hey, you forgot. Or, talk to me like a lady. Talk to me like a woman. Do not get that aggressive tone with me. But I know that just because that's my experience and that's because what I don't like, does not mean that this person is going to understand that or have, or have those same type of feelings towards those kind of words. I knew this man did not. I immediately knew that he was not going to think it was a big deal or anything. Most people don't think it's a big deal. Most men, well, I don't know if most men, a lot of the men that I dated don't think that the way that they speak to women is a big deal. So I simply, in an emotional, intelligent way, do not get upset. Do not cut them off. Do not curse them out. Do not be like, you are so disgusting and rude and I'm turned off by you. I simply like, hey, I know that this is something that probably doesn't bother you, but it does bother me a little bit. And I'm not trying to change you or anything, but just when you speak to me, if you can speak to me like a lady, like a woman, and not like a dude, because when you speak aggressively like that, it makes me want to be aggressive back, and then I feel like I'm operating in my masculine energy. So, if that is possible, I know this is, that's just the way you talk, but if you can adjust, I would appreciate it. Knowing good and well that that's emotional intelligence. Now, mind you, those men did not take that very well. They felt that I was being crazy. That's neither here nor there, and they clearly weren't it. But yeah, learning emotional intelligence, knowing that your feelings are valid and your experiences are valid, but they're not everybody else's experiences, and they're not everybody else's feelings, and so they may not be feeling what you're feeling. And women are crazy kicks on of like, how could he? Is he stupid? Why did he do this? Your feelings are your feelings. And even when you're excited and you're in the middle of enjoying somebody, like for example, you have an amazing date and you're like, oh my God, this guy is amazing, he could literally be my husband, and you're like, learn to be like, wow, I love this moment. I'm enjoying this moment. This moment is a beautiful moment. And I wish that this moment can go on more even. But I'm going to leave this moment at the moment. Leave it there. Emotional intelligence, because just because you're feeling that way don't mean he's feeling that way. He's probably, maybe if you're enjoying it that much, he's probably enjoying it that much too. But still leave the moment in the moment. Because just because you have a good time with somebody don't mean it's gonna lead to anywhere. Do not get your hopes up. So leave the moment in the moment, learning that it is okay to feel what you're feeling, but also leave your feelings where they are and then move on the next day. That's happened many times where I've had an amazing first date with somebody and then you never hear from them again. Or, well, for me, I never hear from people again because they were like, I'm not doing the no sex thing. And I'm like, yep, deuces. That's fine by me. So, yeah, learning to have emotional intelligence. Let's see, what's next? Last one is trusting in God does not mean things are going to go the way you expected. This was a little bit of a harder lesson for me to learn. And because I felt that, for example, I was like, okay, if I trust God and I stay celibate and I am obedient, then when I meet the man who is supposed to be my husband, and God tells me this man is my husband, because I'm going to wait and trust God and wait for him to tell me this is my husband, that, I know the marriage is going to be hard. I know it's going to have some ups and downs. I know marriage is not easy and it might be difficult, but we're going to always be together, and we're never going to get a divorce, because I don't believe in divorce. And I really feel like as long as God gives me a yes, that'll be my reason, that whenever we're going through hard times, I'm like, you know what? Let what God put together, let no man, and I will fight for this marriage because God put this together, and God told me that this person was supposed to be my husband. Therefore, I can't ever let this person go, or blase, blase. One of the things I learned is that just because you choose God doesn't mean the people around you are choosing God as well. Somebody at my church, who I believe is a really great man of God, was previously married, and then ended up in a divorce, and then ended up in another beautiful marriage. And I asked him, do you believe that God told you to marry that woman? He was like, yes, I do believe God told me to marry that woman. And I'm like, I don't believe that God wants us to have divorce. And and to me, divorce is like, I hate divorce. I don't want that for me. And I rather, sometimes I'm like, I'd rather be single than ever have to get divorced. Like, I just really don't want that. That's one of my fears. And he was like, well, she changed her mind. She no longer wanted to go to church anymore. She no longer wanted to keep walking this life with God. And when she decided to change her mind, he believed God released him from that marriage, because she didn't want to submit anymore. She didn't want to go to the church anymore. She was ready to move back to Virginia. And that was her choice to leave, and he didn't want to end the marriage, but that was her choice. That's what she did, and he cannot stop her. She has free will. And I believe that we all have free will, and that just because I believe that trusting in God means trusting in God, that even if he gives you a yes, that if something goes wrong, you still have to trust God. Ooh, there's scripture for this, and I don't remember where, and hopefully I can remember it and put it up here on the notes and stuff before I post this. But there's a scripture where it was a couple leaving his father-in-law's place, and they went to the land of Dan. They wanted to stay within with any of the lands within the 12 tribes, because staying in a foreign land, they felt like they weren't going to be safe. So they decided to stay in the land of Dan. And they were having troubles finding a place to sleep, and ended up finding an old man who was able to take them in. They go in, and then some of the people in that land, noticed this and start knocking on the door and was like, we're going to rape you. Give us the man that's staying in your home, because it was an old man who let this couple stay there. It was like, give us this man. We're gonna rape him. We're gonna beat him. We're gonna do all these things or whatever. And they were like, well, no. There's a reoccurring thing that happens in the Bible, and that I can't speak on, because I'm still trying to figure out what. I think it's just sometimes I just have to realize that sometimes the Bible is just telling you what happened and not telling you how God feels about things. And what happened was, he was like, no, don't rape this man, take his wife instead. And we know the story of Lot. That was also kind of what happened when he said, take my daughters instead. So I'm like, dang, why's that happening again? So he was like, take my wife instead. They take his wife, they rape her, they beat her, they do all types of things, and leave this woman on the doorstep dead in the morning. The husband is pissed. He then takes her body, cuts her up in pieces, sends all the pieces of her body to the rest of the 11 tribes throughout the land, and come together with all these tribes and was like, we got to do something about this because this is horrible. They killed my wife. I'm pissed off and this is just not right. So they go and they pray to God and I was like, should we go to war with Dan? Should we go to war with Dan? And God was like, yeah, do it. They go, and then the first battle that they have, they lost. And they come back and they're like, hold up, God. Didn't you tell us, yes, to go to war, that we could fight them? Like, why did we lose? What's going on? Like, God, we're asking you, did you send us? Are we supposed to go and fight them? And then God gives them another yes. He was like, yes, go fight them. And I can't remember if this happened one more time where they went and fought again and then lost again, or this time that they won. But either way, after one or two more times, they either lost and won or just won this next round. But they end up winning the war and they end up punishing Dan and the people there and all these other things. But that, I remember reading that and was like crying. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, God, and I realized, because I'm like, God, you told them yes. You told them to go and they lost the first time. And then this poor woman, I don't know why, but this whole scripture, and I couldn't explain why I was crying. I didn't know what I was relating to it at the time, of why this whole thing was making me emotional. And I think the reason why is because sometimes God will give you a yes and it's not gonna go the way you expect it. That's what I just said. Trusting in God does not mean things are going to go how you expect it. And but you still have to trust God. You still have to believe. And so when I thought about marriage, I'm like, you know what, God, I don't want to make marriage an idol. I don't want to make anything in your life that you are putting above God, or that you are desperate for or wanting really bad. Which, not saying that I want it really bad, because I would be okay alone, but I would love marriage. But I think I did idolize marriage a bit. The concept of being married and having God in your marriage, I thought that that's what, even with Abraham idled having this son, and he even had to be tested and take that child up to the mountaintop, and then was in order to kill his son, and God stopped it at the last minute. And the thing that he said in the scripture, as soon as he was done, as soon as God stopped Abraham, he says, now I know that you fear me for real. Now I know that you are obedient to me for real. That even if I give you something, you know that it is never worth more than God. And for me, I feel like God was showing me that even if you get marriage, if you end up in a divorce, you still need to trust me. You still need to put me first. You don't know, like, what God can give and God can take it away. Look at Job. I'm realizing there are many examples of this in the Bible. You do not put nothing above God. So for me, it was a really good of a changing moment of understanding that you trust in God regardless of what you're seeing and what you're feeling. You trust that he got you. And that is that's a level of trust I have not perfected, honestly, but I am striving to have that, no matter what I see, no matter what I feel, no matter how life is going. And it may not always be going my way, but Lord, I trust you. I trust you, Lord. And I said that these are things that I learned to help me not hate men. And even that was things that I learned. Because when you trust God, you hate people a lot less. You realize that the situations and the things that's happened to you may have served a purpose. I don't necessarily believe that I was supposed to be a lesbian. And I don't believe that was supposed to be the life for me. But boy, did God use it. I trust God. I trust God. I thought I hated men. But boy, did God use lesbianism to teach me to not hate them, and to show me within these women, to show the roles that I played and the poor relationships that I had with men. I trust God. So I want to leave you with that. I am excited to get back to these. I got 2 more, and they're 2 big ones. So we're going to save that for the next episode, do a part 2. So thank you so much for watching. And I just have to say that any excuse to be fabulous is a great excuse to be fabulous. And always, always put your trust in God. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye. What up, what up, what up? Thank you so much for watching this last episode. I can't wait to share more with you guys. So we have the contest for the essence bag with all these goodies and stuff in it that I will be mailing out. So I think I'm gonna take a break on giving y'all free stuff because y'all haven't been doing it. I have 2 people who I have no idea which names, but I have 2 people who did what they need to do to win this bag. So I am going to mix and drop, and we will see who won, and I will get your address and we will mail this out to you. So the winner is on below, please. And the winner is Lakeisha. All right, Lakeisha, thank you so much for watching. You have won this beautiful essence bag, and I will get this to you. So thank you. You guys have a good night. Bye.